Martha Oelman was born of a prominent Dayton family, the youngest of Robert and Mary Oelman's 4 children. Her father was the CEO of NCR and a key founder of Wright State University. Brad was Martha's big brother.
She was 11 years younger than I was, so in a sense, I was her protector.
Martha grew up a protector of nature. At 47, she was living alone in Sugar Creek Township in a small cabin her family had used as a hunting lodge. From here, Martha worked in the field of homeopathy and couldn't bring herself to harm a single living thing.
You know, living in the middle of the woods, there's a lot of bugs in the house. Well, you know, she would scoop them out gently and throw them outside and not kill them.
Susan Zerker planned to go canoeing with her friend that first weekend in September 1997, but couldn't get hold of Martha.
You know, I thought, well, this is odd. You know, it was odd that I'm not getting an answer, but, you know, I couldn't understand why she wasn't calling back.
Martha had also missed a business appointment in Columbus that Saturday. Concerned friends went to the cabin the next day.
Please hurry. It's 2980 Upper Bellbrook Road. I think she's dead.
Blunt force trauma to the back of the head. No murder weapon was ever recovered.
Ohio Attorney General Mike DeWine says Martha was nude, lying face down on her bed, no evidence of sexual assault. Brad Oelman lived out of state and got a devastating middle-of-the-night call from the Greene County coroner.
Murder, it was a heinous crime committed against an individual who had Gentle as her middle name.
Brad had just seen his sister during a family vacation on Cape Cod. Here she is, just weeks before her death, with their sister Kathy. Martha might have stayed longer, but filmmaker Julia Reichert was gearing up for her latest project and needed an assistant.
She was very smart, she was very dedicated, she was very determined. And you could rely on Martha.
Reichert first met Martha Oelman in the mid-'70s in Yellow Springs, where both helped originate the long-running Women in Music show on WHIO. She asked Martha to be one of the singers on her film Union Maids. And for the longest time, Reichert had no idea Martha was from a notable family.
She was humble, she didn't dress fancy at all. Perhaps her lifestyle being a lesbian, perhaps she was a little bit of a hippie, you know, we all kind of were back then.
Over the years, Martha worked on another of Reichert's films, Emma and Elvis, and was just starting work on The Dreamcatcher when the crew got word of her death.
When we found out that she was bludgeoned to death, we just didn't know how, I mean, we were just speechless, because it was, you know, Martha, and I have honestly replayed like how she died or imagined 1,000 times in my head.
It was impossible. Just impossible. You know, she didn't have any enemies.
So who then killed Martha, and why? Those are the questions Mike DeWine still gets when he comes home to Greene County. Investigators with the State Bureau of Criminal Investigation have compiled nearly a dozen boxes of evidence and interviews with Martha's friends, trying to retrace her final steps. Martha was last seen 2 days before her body was found. On that last day of her life, she came here to do her laundry, then gassed up her car and headed home. The cabin wasn't visible from the road. Martha drove the 1/10 of a mile down the lane and parked her black Volvo. Another car might have been waiting there.
She very well may have known the person. She may have recognized the car. When she pulled up there after having, you know, done laundry, bringing that laundry into the house.
DeWine won't talk about possible motive or persons of interest, but he points out forensics have improved in 18 years, and there's another factor that could lead to an arrest.
Criminals make mistakes. Sometimes it's years later. Sometimes it's years later when you get someone who knows something, some fragment, some piece of information, and they come forward.
But if you know something, just say, and let people have a chance to keep digging.
Robert and Mary Oelman lived into their 90s and died not knowing who killed their daughter.
My dad, I don't think ever really recovered from it.
Brad hasn't recovered either.
It's a scar that won't heal. It's a scar that won't heal. We want it to heal. We want justice.
Julia Reichert, too, hopes the killer can be found.
But I believe they're living with a certain kind of horror that they did this. I believe that.